Welcome back. In this video, we're going to start finding out what the node names are and actually putting it on as a text item on the keys, on the white keys and on the black keys. And that was actually much harder than I thought it would be because I thought I'm used to working with normal HTML elements. I thought I was just going to be able to, let me open up my elements here. And if you look inside this one, and the SVG, I thought that maybe I was just going to be able to, let's take this B here and then edit that HTML, and then inside here I could type out B and then it would it will show, but that doesn't work at all. So I didn't know what to do exactly, but it turns out that if you want to add text to SVG, you can't just put it inside an element like you can with normal HTML elements, and also style them and center them and stuff like that. You have to do it completely differently. So what I wanted to make is something like this. I want to put the name of the node on the key, and I want to put both of the names of the black keys on the black keys. So the flat version and the sharp version. And this is what we want to do. So let me inspect here and let's see what we have inside our elements, inside our body. Whoops, right here. Piano, SVG. Now instead of having keys or groups that are called keys, or rectangles actually that are called keys, we have a group, and inside those groups we have a rectangle, and on the white keys here we have one text item. Let me just open this up here so you can see this is the text item. So actually we have to have an element, an SVG text element, in order to set the text on the keys. And similarly down here, if we scroll to the ones that are only 40 wide, we have kind of the same thing. It's a black key. We set the X position, and we set two different texts here. We set the first one is the flat name, so this is B flat and this is A sharp, and that's why you can see here we have the same X-axis, but we have different Y-axis here because the sharp version is a little bit above the flat version. And well, the way you can probably already see what's going on here. We just set the X position here on the keys and on the text as well, but we put everything inside a group, and we make sure that group is the same width as the stuff that we have inside. So here it's only, the black key is only 40 pixels wide. So we don't need to move this along the X-axis or Y-axis or anything like that. We can just put it in a group so we know we have all of this together. So we're gonna have to make some groups instead of some rectangles, and we're gonna have to take the rectangles and the corresponding text names here for the node names and put them inside those groups. There are many other things we should do in the app, and actually there are some things that I want to refactor a little bit first. So if I go back to our app.js in the code editor, well, first of all, this one, we don't really need that to be outside. We do this every time we set up the app, so we can actually have this one could be the first one in setup piano, and that would still work great. And I can see that we're adding a lot of different attributes to a lot of different elements, and we're gonna keep doing that, especially now that we have to add the groups and we have to add the node names. So it would be nice if we can take all of these set attributes and get that handled elsewhere than directly in here. We already have down here on our utilities, we have create SVG element. So down here, let's create a new method. Let's call it set attributes, because that's what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna receive the element that we want to add the attributes on, and then we want to receive an object here that will just gonna be called attrs for attribute, and then we're just gonna set those attributes on that element. So first of all, we want to loop over this, what do you call it, these attributes, this object that we're passing in here. So I'm gonna say let key, because we're gonna have a look at the key first. It's gonna be key value pairs. So let key in attrs, and now we're looping over all of the keys here. And then inside this loop, we want to take the element that we're also passing in, and we want to set the attributes on it. So set attribute. So we want to set the attribute of key, the one we're looping over, the value on the left side in the key value pair. And then we want to set the value of that. So that would be our attributes. And then we would use this form of notation. We can just use the key here. So this is pretty simple. We're just setting the attributes for every single one that we pass in here. So now we can see if this actually works. It would be pretty cool if we just check it out up here. So we can go ahead, set attributes. And what do we want to set? Well, we want to set it on the SVG. That's what we're doing down here. And then we can just pass in just like this right here. We can take the width. We can just copy this here. So this is going to be the first key value pairs. So instead of a comma, I'm going to put in like this, and then we need a comma here instead. And version is going to be this. And we don't want the comma, we want a colon instead. And we want the comma to be back here instead. The next one we need is this thing here. Yeah, this is exactly what we need. Let's see if it works. I'm just going to comment this out to see if it actually works. I'm going to save this, and then we can go back to the browser. This is not the right one we're looking at, but this is what we're looking at. And we can see, even if I reload here, we can see that we have everything is still working. So we got the SVG is still set with all of these things here with the view box and everything. So that's cool. Now we don't need these anymore. And then we can go and we can change it everywhere else. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm just going to go through it, and then we'll move on. So that's it. Every time I use set attribute, I just call the set attributes and I just pass it whatever we want to set the attributes on, and then a list of all the attributes that we want to set. We might just delete some of this stuff in just a moment, but it's important when you refactor that you, when you pull something out, that you go and test that it still works and change the variables here and there. So it still works before you move on. Otherwise, it's going to be a mess at some point. Anyways, let's save this and go back to the browser and see that it is still working here. So we're still setting all the correct attributes here. We can see we set the width and the height, and down here as well, it looks like everything is still working, and we still get the sharp name and the flat name. So yeah, we don't have any errors in the console. Okay, so if we have a look at our browser again and we go to the one that we want to create, let's look inside these one more time and see what it is that we want. So instead of creating a rectangle, we just want to create a group here, give it the same width as the key would have. And then inside of these, we would have to put the rectangle, the white keys and the black keys, and then the text with the values that we need, that we want to set. So it's up here in setup piano that we need to start with that. We can see we are adding the white keys here. Let me check if there's something we would like to have. We already have all of this stuff, the selector that we moved down here before, and then we have the width of the piano, and we have, I want to add this at the end because we want to add something to the elements that we want to stuff in here first. So if I take this one here first of all, and then all the way down here at the end, and that's the last thing I want to do down here. I just want to append the child SVG because we're appending a whole lot of stuff to that one, first of all. So that would be actually just outside of this one here. So I'm just going to move all of this stuff here. And we can see that it's still working here. So that's fine. We now we have done that. Then inside our add white keys, what do we want to check there? So we're already looping over all natural notes, so let's keep doing that. I'm going to take the all natural notes and run a for each on that one. And what we're going to need here is the note name, I'm guessing. So note name, this is better. And then we are going to have this function here. And inside this function, well, we just need all this other stuff here. So what we actually are doing here is all of this stuff here. Let's think about it. Let's actually start from scratch up here and then look at the code down here. Because first of all, we actually want to create a group. So we need a group for every single one here. So let's start doing that. So here we want to go, let's call it white key text group. So I'm going to make a constant white key text group. I'm going to set that to utils, and we are going to create an SVG element. We are going to create a group, as you know. So now we have that group. Then we want to take the white key. We already have this one here, so I'm just going to keep this one, or actually copy it and put it up here, because we want to put this white key inside the text group here. And then of course we want a text, so I'm going to make a text element as well. Let's just call it text and create SVG element. And what we want to create, of course, we want to create text. This one here, it's got to be like this. Okay, so inside this text, we actually want to put some content, and we're going to do that many times. So I'm going to make another on the utilities object down here. Let's make another little thing that we can play around with. Let's see. We have the set attributes that we just created before, but let's also have it add text content. Just as a helper function, we are going to receive the element that we want to add the text content to, and then the content, of course. And then we can just, if I can spell here, then here we can just take the element and set the text content to be equal to the content. So now we're doing that out here. That's great. So this one that we just created, that's up here. It's on the utils object. And then we want to add the text to the text that we created up here. This one, we want to add the text content. The text content will still be the node name, the one that we are receiving in here. Let me just correct this one here. The next thing we want to do, let me move this down a little bit so we can see what's going on. So what we want to do up here is we also have the white key text group. We know we also want to set a width on that one. So I can go ahead and use the utils set attributes, and we want to set which attributes. Well, we want to set for the white key text group, we want to set some attributes. So this is the one here. So we're setting some attributes for this one, and we want to set the width of it. So the way we can do that is just, of course, passing in the width like this, and we want the width to be white key width. Like this, okay? So now we're doing that. Then we also want to set some more attributes. We want to set some attributes to the text because we want to figure out where that should be. So we need to put an X and a Y attribute on that one. So let's do that, but let's also figure out where to actually place it. So if I go ahead and I say utils, and then we want to set attributes, and we want to do that to our text. Right here, we're going to pass more than one. So we want to have the X position, which is this, and let's just set it to 15, something like that. I'm going to hard code it for now, and then take the Y position and let's put it down to 380, something like this. And then because we want to center it, we want to take text anchor, and then you want to put middle on it. That's also going to be a string. So that's going to center it. But let's check this out and see if it works in just a second here. Let's just move on here. So now we also have the white key. That's the one we need to set some attributes on. So we can we already have that down here. So I think that's exactly the same thing that we're doing. So I'm going to take this, copy this, and then after this, I'm going to utils set attributes on the white key. This should not be natural nodes I guess, because we are not inside. We don't have the I anymore. I'm using another loop up here. I'm using a for each. So that would be just the node name here. So that should work. What else do we want to take from down here? We want to still increment this. Let's just put it right here at the end of this one. We're incrementing with the white key width. And what else do we have down here? We have this other thing. We want to append the child white key. Let's take that one as well and just put it up here. This is what we're doing. And now I think we can get rid of this loop here. Just want to see if it still works. I'm going to save it here. Let's go back to the browser. This is not the correct one, but this one, it still works. So we can see that we're still doing everything that we did before, but we need to put this into the groups now and figure out what we could do. But also one more thing that we need to do before we do anything else here. We want to take, after we add the attributes to the white key to the text, we want to style something else. We also want to add some class names here. I'm just going to take the text and class list add. We're going to add something to that one so we can style it so it can be white. The text can be black on the white keys. And it's just going to be white key text. Okay. And then on the white key text group, we want to append child. We want to append the child of white key. So that's the first one we put in, and then we want to put in the text as well. So we take the white key text group again, and we append child, and we append the child of text. And then we have the text and the key inside this group. So now we actually want to, before we do anything else here, we append the text, and then we take the SVG and we append child. We don't append the white key anymore. We append the white key text group. And then we actually don't need this one here. And then I think we will still increment spacing between the keys here. Let me just add that so we know what we're doing. Something like that. Okay, let's save that and see what's happening. Well, something is going on. I can see there is definitely something is happening down here. If we have a look at this, let's have a look inside the white keys. We can see there's an A3 in this one, and there's a B3 in this one, which is great, but they all have the same exposition. We just hard-coded that as 15. But if we go back here and we think a little bit about how do we actually want to place this one, well, the X here should not be 15 every single time, so we can change that to the white key position X, because we're already using that for something else. And then we can actually just take that and add the black key width. So that's the one we have up here. Actually, we don't have that anymore. Black key width. We should probably set that as well. I think I put the black key width. That is actually the same as the white key width divided by 2. So we can just take that, the white key width divided by 2. So yeah, that should probably work. Let's see if it's spaced out. And as you can see here, it's beautifully spaced out. Okay, that's pretty cool. We can go ahead and we can style the text here. Let's go to our styles, and inside our styles, we added the white key text, I think, right? White key text class. So let's add something to that. So white key text. And we just want to have the font size a little bit bigger. So font size, that is going to be 1.2 ems. We don't want any pointer events. That's going to be none. And I think just the user select, we don't want to be able to select anything either. So user select none. So now you should see that the font size is bigger anyways. And you do right here, the font size is a bit bigger. So that works great for now. And now we need to do the same thing for the black keys. So here under add black keys, we still need to set this a black key position X as the first thing that we do. And we can just keep this for each loop that we're running through here, and it's going to be exactly the same thing. One thing I do want to change first is this thing here that we added before. If this is the last iteration, we don't want to add a black key. So let's just move this all the way to the top. So that's going to be the first thing we check inside this loop here. So I'm just going to set it up here. And then after that, we will go ahead and we will create the black key here. But before we do that, we want to create a group that we can put the black key in. We also want to create a text element that we can put with the black key in that group. So just like before, I'm going to make another constant, and it's going to be black key text group. That's going to be another SVG element. And it's also going to be a group. So it's going to be a G. Okay, now we got that. And then we're creating the black key here. That's great. Then we want to have the flat name text and we want the sharp name text. So flat name text, that is going to be equal to create SVG element, and we want to create a text element. That's great. And then we want a sharp name text as well. So let's just put that down here. We want to change it to sharp name text. And that's also just going to be a text element. That's great. So now we got those. What we want to do here as well, we still want to set some attributes here. First, we want to set the attributes on the black key text group. So we're going to grab the utils set attributes method, and we want to add it to the black key text group. And what we want to add to those are, we just want to set the width as we did before. So the width, that is going to be, the width is going to be the black key width, which is the white key width divided by 2. Okay, just like this. No, we need a colon here. Okay, just like that. And that should hopefully work. So now we set that attribute on the black key text group, this one up here. Then let's see, actually, we don't have to do much more. We still set this one on this one. Well, actually up here, we don't really need to set this one here. We can do that down here because we're already setting some attributes on the black key down here. So we can just move this one down there instead. So let's just take this one here. And we are just going to put it right up here because we're putting it on the black key. So we can go ahead and do it like this, and that should still work. And then we can go ahead and we can move it here. So let's go into our for loop where we're checking all the different sharps and flats node names. All we need to do is actually to set the text to that and add the different things, put them all together. So what we really have here, we want to check first if the natural sharp node name is equal to the first one. So that means we have a match. Then we're setting the black key position X here. And then also down here, we want to set some more attributes. We also want to set the sharp name text. So I'm going to take the utils and set attributes. And what I'm going to add in here is the sharp name text. And then what attributes we want to add on this one. So we want to take the text anchor, we want to set that to middle as well as before with the white key. So middle. Okay, then we want to set the Y, and that's going to be 215 because that's something I calculated where I would like it to be on the black key. And the X position, of course, should be different. So we will take the X position as a string here as well. That's a C X, and we want to set that to the black key position X. And then we want to add the half of a black key width. That would then be the black key width. So that would be the white key width divided by 4, right? Maybe I should refactor this as well, but not right now. White key width divided by 4 would be a half black width key. Okay, let's see if that will work with the position of the text. Then the next one we want to do, we have another one we want to set some attributes on. And that one would be the flat name text. And here are the attributes that we're going to set on that one. We want to kind of the same thing. So I'm going to copy these. Actually, I'm going to copy all of them. And I'm glad I did because I noticed a semicolon that shouldn't be there. And then in here, okay, text and cut and core, of course. That should be middle. Then 215, I want this to be pushed down a little bit further. So that's going to be 235. And then the black, it should be exactly the same thing here. Okay, that's cool. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to add the text content to the text fields. So we want to take the utils and add text content. We want to add some text content to sharp name text. And that's the one that we're defining up here. Sharp name text, this one here. So we want to add something to that. And we want to add, I'm going to use template strings here. So backticks, we are going to add a variable. And that will be natural sharp note name. This one right here. We want to add a sharp symbol, not just a hashtag. So I went online. You can go to a browser and you can search for a sharp symbol, then you can just copy and paste it. So I'm just going to add a sharp symbol here. And yeah, you can see it's just a normal sharp symbol that you can, if I can find it, here it is. So you can find that by Googling sharp symbol, musical symbol, something like that. And we're going to do the same thing. Let me zoom out again. We're going to do the same thing with the B, and we're going to take another one. So I'm just going to copy this one, put it down here, and this would be the flat name text. And that will be the natural flat name. And then instead of this, we would need the flat sign. And you can do the same thing for that. Go Google it and then paste it in here. So that should hopefully work right now. We also want to add some class names to them, so we can do that after that. So what we want to do, so that's the flat, just so we can style it. Flat name text, class, list, add, and we want to add the class of black key text, and we're going to do that for this one as well. So that's flat name, sharp name text, and that's going to need the same thing. Okay, that's cool. So here we still check if it's equal to D or A, and if you should continue, and that should just be the exact same thing. And then all the way down here, we need to add all the elements before we can actually add it to the piano here. So we need to take the black key text group outside here. So we take the black key text group, and then we append the black key to that one. Append child, it's going to be black key. Okay. And then we want to take the black key text group and also append the flat name text and the sharp name text. So black key text group, append child, and that would be the flat name text. And the next one will be the sharp name text. So sharp name text, this one. And then after we've done all of this, well, we don't really, actually right here, before we end this, then we have to take the SVG and then append those to that. So that would be append black key text group. And then at the end here, we append this SVG to the whole piano. So let's see if this works. Probably doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's great. Because we have something here, you cannot access black key before initialization. And actually one thing we want to do up here is actually here I want to check if it's the last iteration. So we can just go ahead and check if it is the last iteration. We're just going to return. We're not going to do anything. So we just negate this one. That should hopefully fix something. It's not going to be, yeah, it kind of works. It does work. That's great. Okay, so we can see that we actually do have the node names here, but let's go and style them a little bit. So let's inside our styles, we have black key text. The font size is going to be a little bit smaller, so font size, that's because it's going to be 1M. And then we want to have the fill color should be white, so we're going to use FFF. That's great. And then the font weight should be a little bit thinner, I think. So let's set that to 200. And the pointer, we don't want any pointer events or user select, so we can just steal these up here as well and just paste it in down here. And save that and go back. And now we can see that it actually does work. It does look like it's the correct one, so that's just awesome. Something I forgot to mention here is we're not getting the octave number here. We do that for the white key, but we're not adding the octave number here. So there's no reason to do that because we can see that we are already on, let's take this C here. So we know that it'll be a D flat 5 because we're close to the D5 and the C5 and the, yeah, we just know that. So we don't want to add that. There's not room enough to add that on the black key. So that's why we don't do that for those. So that's it. Now we can add the different note names to the different keys, and it sure looks like it works. Let's test this as always just a little bit. Let's add a 0 here and a C6, something like that. Okay, it still works. It still adapts. So awesome. The next video, I'm going to show you how we can actually just pass an array of notes that we want to highlight on this piano. So we're going to make another function to do that in the next video. So join me there, please.